Welcome to another episode of This Week in Events for bit of September. September already. This week, I'm joined by Paul Richardson.
Good morning.
And Christina O'Connell.
Hello.
How are you guys? How's your week been?
I'm fine, but it's very hectic. To say this is supposed to be the relaxing summer period where people can chill out and stuff, we have never been as busy. So many award entries, new launches of events. Yeah, there's a lot happening. So it kind of gives you that nice feel that the industry's not on its knees. There are things happening.
We've been mentioning the awards over the last few episodes, so it's like your diary of what's happening with the awards.
It's going to have its own calendar on the wall soon. Anyway, Christina, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. For me, it's the opposite. For me, it's a very quiet time right now.
Yes, because you're broadcasting live from Czech Republic.
Yes, all the way from Czech Republic. Yeah, crazy.
Amazing. That's really cool. In fact, we're going to start with you this week with a news item. Yes, we're starting with you, Christina. So let's have a quick look. So, Christina, the Power of Events has announced regional expansion and London launch event. Tell us more.
Yeah. Yes. I thought it was quite an interesting one. Definitely points out the importance of these educational programs. And so they've launched in 2023 and they had a bunch of different locations. But now for autumn 2025, they've added more locations for their event program. So they've added Manchester, Liverpool, Edinburgh, and most recently London. And the London one's going to have a big launch at the O2 as well. So I thought that was quite interesting. It's definitely bringing more young people into the events industry.
Definitely. For a small organisation, they're doing an awful lot, which is very impressive.
Yeah,
I like the fact that they're coming out to the regions, but at risk of getting flamed by people from the Power of Events, they're coming out to the regions, but they're launching it in London. We had this conversation on one of the podcasts a couple of weeks ago about London-centric. You know, there is a world outside the M25. Wouldn't it have been, just to cap that off, that they're going regional, wouldn't it have been great to see them launch it in Manchester or Edinburgh or somewhere outside the capital? I know I get all the reasons that it's the place with the highest population density and yada yada, home of events. But if we are going to break this London monopoly on events and raise the rest of the profile of the country, opportunity, I just sense there might have been an opportunity missed. But you are coming out to the region, so bravo, well done.
Yeah, the other side to that is actually if they've done it at a venue that could have done with a little bit more attention, considering what venues are going through in the UK at the moment, that would have been a nice touch. But as you say, London's kind of like the obvious choice with transport links. It's where the industry always ends up in anyway. The loudest venues are there, the loudest event tech companies are there. So, yeah.
It'd just be nice to see them take a gamble. Just say, we're going to do this. We're committed to the regions and non-London venues. Let's do it in Birmingham or let's do it in Manchester. I think there was a little bit of a trick missed. But I get it. I get it's the safest. It is a safe option to do it in London because you're going to get everybody there. And the O2, I mean, at least it's not in. I mean, we have a number of other venues that we talk about on a regular basis. But the O2's reasonably well-known venue, but it's not one that people do a huge amount at. Maybe I'm just not reading that, but yeah, it'd just been nice to see it in the regions. But good to see it happening anyway.
It's quite impressive. They've said that over 100,000 young people have been introduced to the events industry 350 visits to different schools and 264 registered ambassadors. So it's definitely getting more young people interested in the events industry. But they've also said that understanding of the UK events industry increased to 64% post-presentation from 1% initially. So maybe more young people are learning about the events industry. I don't know how they got that statistic, but it sounds impressive.
It does indeed. A little bit of self-promotion. One of our EPN's columnists, Claire Drakeley, is deeply involved with the educational side of things and part of Power of Events. She wrote in an article about the unreasonable expectations that some young people have about the event industry. Oh, it's all glamorous, fashion. I'll get to wear the good clothes. I'll get to dine out. So, if the Power of Events is going into education and talking to young people about what it's really like to be an event planner, what it's really like to be within the event industry. Mind you, event industry is a very, very broad term. But if you're going to be involved in the industry, then you really need to know what it's exactly like so you don't have unreasonable expectations or be disappointed in your first year of doing an event management degree.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be nice to. It is because it isn't a 9 to 5 job and never will be, just by the very nature of events. And I think that does take a lot of people by surprise. We're recruiting at the moment, and the conversations I'm having with a lot of people is that they don't want anything outside the 9 to 5. They want to be able to come in, sit down, start. And oh yeah, do you mind if I work remotely? Well, I'm going to Vietnam, traveling for 6 months, but I could do the job while I'm traveling. And you kind of think it's very difficult for you to cover a live event from Vietnam when the event's happening in Newbury Showground, and I need you on the ground in Newbury Showground. And there seems to be a little disconnect in terms of what people's expectations are. And I think a lot of that is driven by a lot of the social media we see at the moment, that people running podcasts and they're doing their own content creation and they become a content creator. And then that seems to be the universe that they think everything revolves around, rather than understanding that if you join the events industry, you're being part of a bigger thing. You know, you're, I hate to finish this phrase, but you're an ant in an ant colony. You're not the ant that's going off on its own and playing remotely. You have to be in it and immersed in it. And it does, I hate to use this phrase, but it does take over your life. I mean, Christina, you came in and worked at the sharp end. Did you not find the same, that when you come in and you hit it and you kind of sit down and think, I'm still here and it's 7:30 in the evening and I'm still doing stuff?
Definitely. I think that, not enough people know what the events industry is like. I guess at the beginning, it's such a big shock. Like, no, but it's Friday, but it's 8 p.m. But what? No, hang on. What? Okay. I mean, I loved it. I really immersed myself in it. I really, like you say, the glamour. Like it is fun. Of course, it's very challenging. But you don't go to an event every single night or every single day. So I think you can definitely adapt to it. But people do need to know what it's like, and that it is like that. And especially for me, it wasn't so intense because I was interviewing people and just socializing and a lot doing content. But for operations, it's a whole different story where you have to you either party with the people, but you have to wait for the whole thing to be over, and then you're there for another 5 hours taking everything down, and you're probably there 5-10 hours before that, putting everything up.
Is this a conflict between the gig economy and how the event industry is so immersive that you have to be doing it for about 14 hours a day for weeks on end? Is that because if young people are thinking gig economy, then they're going, I'll just dip in and do this, earn a few pennies, dip out again, and just carry on my merry way. Whereas the event industry is, we keep going until it's done, which means you might be doing a 14-hour day or a 12-hour day, whatever. So that's kind of interesting that, again, if the Power of Events can actually realign it and actually reveal what it's really like to be in the event industry in whatever aspect you're in. That's going to be cool.
I think it's just setting realistic expectations. And I absolutely 100% agree with Christina on this, is that it's understanding, coming to events, that's such a broad category of career options. And as Christina said, if you're in ops, you better be ready to sacrifice quite a bit of your own time. You might get it back in terms of time off in lieu or something like that. Or I mean, you might even on those very rare occasions find an event organizer that's prepared to pay overtime. If you do find them, hang on to them, because they're going to be quite a rare commodity. But you will get that. Yeah, there is flexibility that if you've worked flat out on an event for X number of days, it might then be right. Okay, get that time back the next week. But if you're in ops, it's high pressure. It's high pressure. It's time dependent. So many times I talk to people about even our engagement with them on the PR side. If we don't get the launch information out and into the media at the right time, with sufficient time for the promo campaign to run for the event, you're hitting the organizer's ability to generate revenue and generate an audience and footfall and all the other stuff that needs to happen. But you're also sitting there, and if you're an ops person, you can't say, oh, well, I can do that tomorrow, because you've got a hard stop. Those doors are going to open and everything's got to be right. And if that means you're polishing the tinsel at 1 a.m. in the morning because it's got to be right for the opening of the event, that's how it is. Whereas if you may be working in one of the other areas, if you're in marketing, then maybe it's slightly less pressured. Sales, depending what the industry is. But if you're selling space or sponsorship or something like that, again, you're going to have targets. It's going to be a different thing. You'll probably not be working till 7 o'clock at night because your audience won't be available for you to target. But blimey, you're going to have deadlines and you're going to have targets and you have sales targets. So there's an element of, isn't it great? I ran past, I don't know, Billie Eilish was at the event I was at, and you know what? Yeah, I saw as I was running to go and stop a light falling over, or I was busy running off to organise a press interview. It's glamorous. You're in the surroundings, but you kind of need to think about, you're not going to be rubbing shoulders with the stars. You are actually going to be part of the machine that makes it happen, and there is a real buzz about that. I keep banging on about this, but I've been around the industry for a long time, and I still get a buzz out of it. It's still good fun when you launch an event and people turn up and you get, it works. It's just great. And with the absence of Jill, I'm going to throw one of my clients into this conversation. We were involved with launching a small Scar festival in a market town where somebody we've worked with previously has gone to be chief exec of a charity that owns some land there, and we put on a Scar festival. It's essentially a micro festival, sub 2,500 people, but it was packed, and the reviews and the feedback from the people involved was fantastic. Everybody had a brilliant time, and that is such a buzz out the back of it. Looking at what people have said, and you think, great, we got all of you guys in there. We helped. Our responsibility was the audience generation, and you think that's fantastic, that's brilliant. And yeah, okay, I did work some evenings on it and a Saturday morning and a few bits and bobs, and the rest of the team put bits of time in to make it all work. And you get that buzz, and you do get that, hey, really small part, but I had a little tiny part in that. Anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
that's
fine.
my lecture for this Friday finished.
No, you're quite right, and you do get that buzz, that excitement of, no matter what part you played, you were part of it. But that's the thing, you are part of it, so you're a cog in a very large wheel, and you can't dip in, you can't do the gig economy with it. If you're going to help to put a festival on, then that's what you do. You can't decide, well, it's gone 6 o'clock, I need to be down in the pub with all my mates, if the job's not been done. So it does take a particular mindset, and as long as Power Events can convey that to young people, that when you take part, when you're putting on a festival or you're putting on a conference, you just don't dip in. It's what you do until the job's done.
I also think that so many people, especially young people now, they're so used to this flexible work way, the way we work, like hybrid and remote, and you can work from home and you can do this. And a lot of the time, people go up to job interviews. Okay, can I work from home? Can I work remotely? Can I do this? Can I do that? And I think the events industry is it's so separate from that. Of course, there are so many companies that will offer different things like that. But like if you're working, you can't work from home and be at an event, it's like a different world. And like you've said, like you get so many perks from working at events and experiences, and you get to have the most fun, but also you have to sacrifice the fact that you can't work from home. And that's okay, because in other jobs, maybe you can work from home, but you don't have as fun opportunities or experiences as in events.
If the power of events can actually, I keep saying it, really demonstrate and show what it is like to be in events, then of course you're going to filter out some of the people who it's just not for them.
Mm,
And I think
definitely.
anybody who
Yeah.
is left and goes, yeah, I love being part of something that's bigger than me. Yes, I don't mind working long hours. Then if those are the people that are left, then that's fine. Get them in the industry and get them working.
Because that's the
And,
people that really love it and care about it
yeah.
and will put 100% into it and won't complain. Because you don't want to be around people who are like complaining, like, oh, it's Friday, but it's 5 o'clock, but I wanted to be at home and I had my own plans. Like, it'll have all the people who are so dedicated to the industry and to their craft and to whatever they do. And the atmosphere will be so much more positive as well.
Yeah.
And I think there is the obligation on the part of the employers in there. If you're going to have people working at that level, you need to give them the time to decompress, the downtime, the bit where they get their own time back. Now, the cyclic nature of build up to an event happens and it goes down, then you need to give people that little bit of time afterwards where they can kind of balance off the time they've put in, so that they do get to relax. Because the last thing you want is burnout. I know a couple of people who've worked in ops, and it's caused them some quite. They were 24/7, all the time, pressure, and then they go bang, because there's no opportunity for them to breathe, to sit back and go, oh, right, I'm now going to just chill for a couple of days. I don't have to touch anything. I've done what I needed to do for that event. I can now relax, and then I'm going to be refreshed, ready, and I can dive straight back into the next one. But if they come bang, 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 you are going to burn people out, and there's a responsibility on whoever's the employer of those people coming in through that recruitment to understand that you just can't treat people like that. They do need that bit of downtime.
Just to finish that off, with everybody's reporting, we keep hearing the stories of how lead times are getting shorter and shorter. So I can imagine employees of these events companies are going, "Oh, I've just finished an event. I can. Oh, what, another one? Oh, okay." And off they go again.
Yeah, we're all more time compressed. Again, over the years, just if we take exhibitions as a particular niche in the events industry, build up and breakdowns times, it's been as long as I can remember since I've been working, there's been we haven't got enough time at build up and breakdown, and they've never got bigger, they've never got longer, they've just got shorter and shorter and shorter. And obviously that's mean you then drive innovation, and that people are finding new ways to make things happen and keep it going. The technology, the kit, the equipment, and everything's the same, but the people doing it haven't changed. You still have the squidgy pink things that need to run around and do it, and the stress levels just increase on them. So yeah, you have to think you're not just demanding better delivery from your suppliers and things. That you actually still need the people to be able to do that, and by making those time short, you're increasing pressure on the people involved, not so much the way things are put together.
Yeah.
I hope that made sense.
I think so. Yeah. Well, anyway, good find, Christina. Thank you for that. So let's move on to the next one, and I'm going to go next. We'll leave you to last, Paul. So, according
Story
to
of my
Julia
life.
Child's event management website, attendees are no longer satisfied with just seeing through keynotes or collecting business cards. They want immersive experiences, personalized agendas, and events that reflect their values, whether that's through sustainability, inclusivity, or well-focused programming. Do they?
My two penneth, I think it's partly to do with the expectations of people coming to the events. There are some events where people will make do with what's there, but again, yeah, I see events where people are looking and basic needs not being met. So let alone getting into the sustainability, inclusivity, and wellness when you're thinking, right, there's insufficient food provision at this, there aren't enough food vendors, or the you're in a live event, outdoor event, there's only 3 portable toilets for 10,000 people, those kind of things. The basic needs are still missing. So no matter how much wellness you've got in there or how sustainable you are, you still got to get the basics right. But then I think that expectation of people will look and tick. And one of the areas that touches us quite a bit is accessibility and the ease of people having, for example, accompanied access for people going to events. So if somebody's got somebody with them, does that person who's attending with a person who may have neurodivergence or something like that, that they get a quiet space where they can be, so they don't get overwhelmed, and then you have to think about all of those aspects. So I think there's a level of expectation of that's coming in. I think sustainability is still being driven. The personalized experience is always a hard one. Funny enough, Adam Parry was talking about this on a podcast. Adam Parry of Event Tech Live fame was talking about event apps, and because somebody's asking him what technology will die and what will advance, and the nature of the change of event apps. I think we touched on this last week when I had surprise visitors to my exhibition stand who the AI event app had automatically booked an event, a meeting with me. It hadn't actually filtered. My expectation would be that it would be people who were interested in our services who would come to our stand, but we had all manner of random people turning up. Hello, well, I've got a meeting with you and I don't know why. So their personalized experience as an attendee was that they'd got appointments booked, so that might have been great, but it wasn't profiled to them sufficiently. So yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
I think that what Julie Charles is saying is aspirational. I think it's aspirational, and we should all aim for that. But we still got to get some of the basics right.
There's I mean, there's a lot to. I mean, collecting business cards now, everybody does it by swapping info on LinkedIn these days. Immersive experiences, that's depending who you talk to, they've got their own definitions of what that actually means. And I think we talked about that in another episode with Jill, I think, where immersive experience is that with or without a headset.
Yeah.
Is that a space dedicated where it's all lights and smells and flashy things going on? And then I've got a feeling it's probably that a lot of events are trying to be everything to everybody. If it's a networking event, where if it like a conference has got is promoting, oh, let's have the members network with each other, but they've only provided 3 tables and 2 chairs, you're not really doing it right. And the only reason why you've only got that many tables and chairs is because everything else is you've sold that space because you want the income from it.
I think it's a yes and no situation. Like, you are so right. Start with the basics, make sure people are happy, and then you can kind of like build upon that. I mean, I think it is true. People do want immersive experiences. I know I want to go to an event. I want to be immersed. I want to experience things in a very big way. But also I want somewhere to sit. I want a cup of coffee. I want food. If I can't see where there's food, where there's a cup of coffee, where I could sit down, where I could charge my phone, if those basics aren't there, then I can't be immersed.
This is the problem. This is something I always find when the events I go to. I don't go to many, but the ones I go to is like you spend ages just walking around this vast hall, getting totally confused by the numbering and lettering system that doesn't make any
Yes.
sense. And you think to yourself, all I need to do is just take a sit for a minute. There's no chairs because the space is all sold off. And if there is space available, it's only for speakers, it's for the press. There's nothing for the attendee to sit down. If you need to leave to sit down, you leave. You go outside. Like if you're at the XL,
Mm.
the seating is still limited considering the size of the place. And so you're
It,
not
it,
in the show anymore. So you're not part of it. And people are not looking at you or seeing that you're there. It's a crazy situation where it's such a pressure to sell the space, but you're not giving a chance for people to sit and talk and
it,
network.
it's also, you raise a really good point as well, because if you allow that visitor to go outside, I mean, first off, they go outside and there is seating out there, but a lot of it's commercially tied to the vendor that's has that location. So it might be a coffee or a catering vendor. So they tend to be seats for those concessions. So in that particular venue, other venues don't have the luxury of that space either. So if you're in some venues, you go outside and you're outside, you're done, finished, gone. And that does that. Then if you go outside, then you sit down and you think, you know, I've had enough, I'll go. You're not encouraging people to stay. What you want to do is when people come through the door, you know, wrap them in this lovely warm cozy blanket that, right, you're now in our show and we love you so much, we're going to provide nice comfy little areas for you to go and sit and just chill. And as you say, you go take your breath, and anybody that's going to if look, again, I mean, I'm presuming this is exhibitions we're talking about, but if you're going to a trade show, you want to go and sit down and you want to, theory, you should have planned all your journey and who you want to see on the event app or the website or whatever it is. But you also want to sit down and say, right, I'm going to go down this aisle, this aisle, this aisle. I want to go over there and see that. But you need a space to plan, or you need to do some of it, and you may have made contacts. Right, I've made those contacts. I now need to either write something down or email my colleague to say I've seen this, or there's a whole raft of things you might want to do, but you need space to do that. And the challenge is that for an organizer is dead space. So that is costing them revenue straight off the bottom line because they're renting floor space from the venue, and they're not putting revenue generating things on there. So it's a challenge.
Well, there's one way around that, where in the dead space that you can't sell, like long spaces against a wall, clever people will go, oh, perfect space for a nook pod, because they're self-contained. Don't you think? I've seen them, I've sat in them, and I think for anybody who's a little bit who finds shows a little bit too much, and perhaps if Eventwell's not there, you can dive into a nook pod. You can look at your email, you can make notes, you can read some promotional material you've been given. You just take a break from the show, and there's also a little less sound. I really like them. I'm not trying to push them. I've no affiliation with them, but I just think you could actually have these nook pods around and put them into spaces that you could never sell. Would never be anything that you could offer to an exhibitor.
But I also think that I think maybe this is also the case. It's like organizers are going, attendees want this, they want this, they want that. We need to create these apps for them, and we need to put into more technology so that they can interact with it. But they don't actually ask what the attendees want. And they're so creating this whole world of like, no, they need wellness, and they need this, and they need a space, and they need this amazing AI thing. And all they want is a piece of paper with the map on it.
Oh, don't get me started on maps. Oh, no.
Oh,
Small screens with PDF versions of the show floor, and you just can't see anything. No. I would love for somebody just to go, would you like a paper map? Oh, God, yes, please.
yeah.
Please, just give it to me now. Actually, give me 10.
Yes.
Give me all of them.
Somewhere here, I have a map of a show in my bookcase behind me. I have a map of a show from about 2005, 2006, something like that, where you could actually fold it out and you could highlight the stands you want to go and see, and you could walk around and find it. But I think Christina's point's a really good one. I'd love to see an organizer just try this. There's no app.
Yeah.
There's a paper map. We've got some comfy seating. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no connectivity in the place. What you're going to do is you're going to come and you're going to meet the people at the event, because that's what you come for. And we're going to be at a stand. We're exhibiting at Event Tech Live, so we'll have a stand. And I guarantee you, and what I will try and remember to do for this podcast is count the number of people that go past our stand with their face buried in their device.
Yeah.
Looking either at a map or where's my next appointment or which theatre am I supposed to be going to. I think you've probably hit a nail on the head there, Christina. Are we over technology? Are we over dependent or over providing technology? Not dependent, because that suggests there's a requirement. So should we be descaling all of that in an event and saying, come as you are, meet people, just walk around and talk? I keep coming back to this one quote from Rob from Media 10 at a conference when I think it was somebody did a presentation about virtual events, virtual exhibitions. You'll be able to stick a headset on, you'll be able to walk around, interact with other avatars. So physical events are dead. And Rob Nathan turned around and said, what about serendipity? What about that moment when you're walking down there, and I keep mentioning this, you're walking down at a show and you hear something or you smell something, or a colleague grabs you and said, oh, look what I've just seen. That buzz is human interaction. It's the physicalness of it. It doesn't come through an app, doesn't come through a website, doesn't come through a portal. Come on, organisers, your challenge is laid down. A techless show. Come down, walk round it, experience it, feel it. No apps, nothing.
I love the sound of that. Don't offer any Wi-Fi login codes because there ain't any. There's no Wi-Fi. And
You're not
the
here.
thing is about walking around with your phone, as you say, she pointed out, if you're staring at the phone trying to work out why you're A1 but across the way is F5, you're walking around staring at your phone, but you're not got your head up looking at what's around you or the people that are around you. The fact that you've got lost, instead of looking at your phone, go talk to someone. Hey, do you know where D3 is by any chance? Oh, I was only there 5 minutes ago. They're great.
And that is what immersive events are. That's being immersed in the show.
I
not
love
looking
that
at
definition.
Your phone, getting rid of the Wi-Fi, walking around, talking to people, bumping into people. I remember when I was at, I don't know what show, but I bumped into you, Bob, and it was like, hello, oh my gosh. And that is what it is to be immersed in an event.
That was Confex about 2 years ago, wasn't it? We've already spoken before then. But it's like, oh my God,
so
it's
cool.
you.
And then we connected.
Yeah, that's that sort of thing. And if I'd been just walking around feeling really, very lost and gloomy and I'm just staring at the phone, I would never have seen you walk past.
Exactly. Like putting that stuff away, that is the real definition of an immersive event, is to just immerse in the event and to put all the other stuff away and be fully present.
I love that as a definition. And I think more and more people should pick that up and should write it on a big piece of paper and just stick it on the office wall.
Yeah.
Christine, you're absolutely spot on, because it's, do you know when people are talking about why have they got problems in their relationships? Because when they sit down for a meal, they go, the first thing that happens is they get their phones out and they're eating a meal with their loved ones and they're looking at their phone. So it just baffles me. You go out for dinner with somebody because you want to be with them. Not that you want to compare phones, but it's the same thing. It's that be present. If you're going to go to the show, be present in the show. Engage with people, talk to people. And as Bob says, I'm looking for so-and-so. Do you know where they are in the hall? Anything, just chat to people, because it's that human interaction. And you go back to the age-old adage from decades ago. People buy from people. You meet people. You go, oh, I like you. You like me. I like your product. Right, let's talk about something after the show. And off it goes.
Well, if you're turning up at a trade show, tending to find a solution to your problem or your client's problem, something that they need to have happen, and you're looking for a supplier for it, if you bump into someone and have a real proper conversation, like I'm heading to such and such a stand, do you know where they are? Oh, yes, I know them. They're awful. Don't go with them. Oh, all right. Or it could actually extol their virtues and go, oh, no, these are brilliant. The fact that you've talked to somebody who had some real world conversation about a company, whether they're good or bad or whatever, it's better than reading an online review or being AI matched with them.
And well, the other thing is, if you've read a review about somebody and it says this company's, you read on a review and it says they're not very good. Well, if you go and talk to them and go and have a look, is that a pernicious post that somebody's put up there? Is it somebody just being a little bit mischievous? Or are they really that bad? And go and speak, touch, feel. That, I mean, it's one of the, and we are being very specific about exhibitions at this point, but it's one of the reasons why you go. You go to actually pick it up and go, is this product, service, whatever it may be, is this right for me? Does it feel right? And it's, I mean, it's so ingrained in culture. It's why we go to markets. Why do you go to a market? You go to a market because you can pick the veg up and squeeze it and go, do my fingers go through it, or is it firm? I've got a conversation on the radio that seemed to occupy all the radio stations yesterday afternoon. How do you check if an avocado's right?
God,
Yeah,
it was on Radio 4 morning and night. Avocado
endless,
checking.
wasn't it? Yeah. Well, I mean, the fruit and veg show, that's the next one. Come down and feel fruit and veg. Learn how to test for an avocado's ripeness.
Yeah.
But it's that personal interaction. I think Christine's absolutely nailed it. That's the immersive bit. Being present.
Take a gold star, Christina. Well done.
Yay!
I love it. I think that Christina, you need to stand up at the AEO conference and present that.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Actually, it brings up the article also brings up another thing, and it also ties in with the use of tech. So the article goes on to say, about sitting through endless keynotes, by extension, sessions. Is there a tendency that because we've got this, all singing, all dancing event apps, which, by the way, I can see fading away in replacement by web apps, if anybody actually uses those, there's too many sessions per day. I mean, the thing is, I've seen on the like some of the trade shows I've gone to, there's a session happening at 4:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, late afternoon, and I'm thinking, who's hanging around for that, especially on the last day?
That's usually the one we get.
Yeah, there's like 5 people sitting there with headphones and who are staring at their phones while you're talking. I mean, how discouraging is that?
And it's very overwhelming. It's very overwhelming, the amount of keynotes that there are. And then you have different theaters, and then they're on the two that you like are on at the same time, and you don't know where to go and where it is. And then, oh, damn, I missed it now, so I can't go. And it's so complicated.
So do we have any proof? Is there any surveys to say that there should be 5 sessions per day, but they're about 40 minutes long? Or do attendees prefer maybe 10, but each one's only 15 minutes long? What is the actual true preference when it comes to keynotes and sessions?
I know, it's an interesting one. Can I just ask, as a very, obviously, this random survey between 3 of us, it'll obviously be statistically significant. But how many people, how many of the 3 of us have gone to an event, followed Christina's example? I want to go to see these 2. Oh, they're on at the same time. Oh, it's okay, because that's going to be made available after the show. How many of us have gone, watched the one we want to do, and never gone back to read the content that's made available post-show? I mean, I'll put my hand up on this one. I've with all good intent, I'm going to go. I'll go and watch that one, and then I'll watch that one on demand later. And never managed to get round to watching the on-demand one.
Well, I didn't know that you could go and watch it on demand, so I was just very upset that I couldn't see or listen to both. And you have just make a choice. Which one's more really important for me to hear right now?
It's a good point, Paul. But as kind of Christine's point there is, if you don't know it's online for review later, but the bigger question is, do they put it online for review later?
Hmm.
Is I find that really interesting sessions that should be made into a YouTube video, Instagram 2-minute video. It should be turned into clips. You should have an audio transcript. It should be put somewhere so it should live on post show. But I don't think it's either they don't have the time or the money or the skills to make it happen, or whether it's just a lack of interest, believing that nobody wants it.
Exactly. They
No.
could see that it's online, but is it actually online? Did they get around to putting it online? I feel like after the show, it kind of gets forgotten. Well, the show's done. Yay. Everyone's had their fun. But then who do you talk to? Is it online? Where do you track it down if it's not there?
I can certainly cite a particular example because we work around this show. Anyway, the thing called NHS Confed Expo, which is NHS Confederation's show in Manchester Central, they fastidiously record, stream, and make available afterwards because a lot of their content is technical content. So it's people wanting to hear about papers, about medical advances, about strategy, about government strategy. It's high level stuff. So it has value, and I think that's the key. Is if you're going to record it and make it available after, should that determine what you're recording? Does it have an intrinsic value of its own that people will want to go and get afterwards? Because they have quite high level downloads, and people watch the content afterwards. I think the fact that you do it as a show does it as a matter of course. Oh, everybody's recording and making this available, right? We all need to do that, and we all need to record everything and put everything out, the content online. Are we suffering overwhelm? Should we be a bit more selective about what's made available afterwards? But I take your point, Christina. Quite often on these kind of shows, you finish the show, and then the doors close, and everybody goes, right, that's done. We'll talk about that show again 3 months out from the next one. What are we from next year? What are we doing next?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe people miss a trick there, but some shows have got that post-event content nailed. But I think they could be a bit more selective. Also, doesn't it make it more interesting if you say this session will not be made available after? So come to the session or miss it. Put a bit of, I mean, I don't want to say risk, but put a bit of impetus behind it and say, it's a once only chance to listen to Paul Richardson talk rubbish for an hour.
Well, that's an interesting point, because if you put things down as limited availability, special offer, one time only, you can just listen to Paul Richardson just rant on forever. He'll keep going until you find your chair very uncomfortable. You could actually make it a limited offer. You could make it something rather special, especially if you've got a very interesting topic and maybe a charismatic speaker. Not that I'm saying you're not charismatic, Paul, but you could actually make it a one-off special. But that doesn't mean to say that you don't record anything. You can record other sessions. And I think some people, some companies and shows, they put the recorded content, make it available for the users of the show app to try and make sure that stays installed on the smartphone for as long as possible. Though it doesn't help, you have to register every year again and again. And that's a whole different subject to dive into. But I think by having sort of like a visual and audio record of what was said and who said it, I think it's valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I like that idea.
Silence as we consider that important point. Anyway, okay, we've dived into that quite deeply. I don't know, your grammar, please. Is it dived or dove?
Well, I would say dived, but there you go.
Dived. All right.
Question then. We need to get an organizer and interrogate an organizer one day on one of these sessions.
Oh, we need to do a hot seat episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any
Uh,
organisers want to come on and and answer some of these questions and have a good robust debate and discussion around it.
either explain yourself or be grilled.
Yeah.
Either way. So, Paul, we're going to move on to you as the final thing about the venues diversifying.
Yeah, it almost follows on a little bit from the diversification and the immersive stuff and the changes in the industry, and the use of Olympia particularly. Olympia's always held various events in there, but are we seeing more and more non-trad exhibition type events coming to the event venues? So this is a sporting event going to be held in Olympia. I dare say there will be some element of exhibitions, but there's also the events run by Raccoon. The running show, was that one of theirs? So you're getting more and more shows that have more and more content and are becoming more and more of a live event and less of a kind of typical trade show where there are exhibits to see and there's some content wrapped around it. This is more coming to do something within the show. I just wonder with the event space available, what gets squeezed out? Is it adapt or die? Do those shows that don't have this kind of content, do they fade away into the background? Or is this the new direction where everything will be, and we'll use the word immersive, where you come in and you actually participate? Because it might answer part of the comment that Christina made. If you're going to go and do something and be active in whatever it is, I mean, this is particularly on the B2C market, but does it pick up part of that point that if you're going to do something like this, which is kind of hybrid games, is it participatory? Is it watching only? If it's participatory, are you able to take your phone in?
Well, this is interesting because I know we've mentioned this several times before. Excel had Formula E running through the building and in and around as well. Is these like the Olympus Hybrid Games and Excel's Formula E? Is this something that only the much bigger venues can experiment with? I mean, how does that leave the smaller venues who could only do the small conferences and have difficulty innovating what they're up to?
I think I mean, just a thought occurs to me as you're saying that is there an area if everybody's going to run down this track and everybody's going to start looking at how do we bring things in, like, come and watch the hybrid games in this what was a traditional exhibition venue, and I'm saying this with the caveat that Olympia has always hosted a variety of events. If you look at its history, it's got some very, very varied events happen there, but it is predominantly exhibition space. Is there an opportunity if a venue to specialize rather than everybody suddenly become, the big venue may have the electric Formula One race, but the smaller venue may have the scale electric Formula One race because they can't fit a full size car in there. But does that leave, and rather than all trying to do the same thing and we get a homogenized venue space, is there opportunity for somebody to say, now this is what we are, we do this and we do this brilliantly, rather than trying to be all things to all people?
Well, that kind of works if you think that you have AV people, you have venue people, there are particular niche people in the industry who do the one thing, but they're known for doing that one thing really, really well. So would that work for a venue to say, this is the kind of thing that we do and we've accommodated it, we can make it special for you because we understand it, because this is what we do. We're known for this.
Yeah, and it goes back to the old marketing principle of if everybody's zigging, you zag, to create clear differentiation. Is there an opportunity now? Is the events market becoming so big, so diverse that there is opportunities for specialization? I mean, again, I would just say from a PR point of view, the PR industry is vast. We specialize in the events industry. So we have specialized in one particular area. So we're niche. If you look at most PR agencies, they'll say PR is exactly the same for wherever it may be. I don't particularly agree with that, but they'll take on every type of client under the sun. So they'll work with anybody and everybody. So they'll have, I don't know, maybe IT clients, they'll have legal professional clients, they might have an event client, but the process that they put them through as a PR mechanism is the same. Whereas you are getting now, you do, and I've always had some vertical specializations. So that's what we do is when Jill is not on holiday, it's what Jill does as well. She's specialized in a sector. So that specialization does allow you to focus. It allows you to be experts at what you do. So why wouldn't that apply to venues? I don't know. It was a thought that is there an opportunity here as everybody tries to run after every particular type of what's new, what's sexy, for somebody to turn around and say, hey, you know what, we do these and we're going to blow.
That's really interesting, because if Excel have found success with Formula E and other very big sporting events that can run through the building, and if Olympia works and that works out well for them, which I can see it doing, does this mean that the venues around the country that are struggling to survive, is this a way for them to sort of pivot a little bit and become known for something in particular?
The P word. I thought that was banned.
I'm sorry. I do apologise. I'll do penance after the show.
But it is true that these venues are trying to hit more of a B2C market as well, and they're trying to be, like you said, everything for everyone, because they want to bring in people that are like families, for example. Like, okay, you can come here for a trade show, you can come here for a conference, but bring your family and they can do something else. And Excel specifically are doing that really well, as well with their Immersed London part of the venue, where they have these, they have Elvis exhibition, immersive exhibition. They had the Friends immersive exhibition there. They had the F1. They had the Jurassic World or Jurassic Park. They had all of these things. And I think that they're nailing it in that way, where you can go there with work, with a business. You can go to Excel to a trade show, but your family can also come. So they're trying to bring more people, bring everyone in, basically.
Well, that's great, providing they can actually reduce the number of steps it takes to get to the toilet. Sorry, I mentioned this now and again. It's the age I'm at. I'm sorry.
But B2C, I think, and I see it in a lot of venues. They want to be bigger. They want to be bigger and better, and they want to expand. And Olympia's doing it, I think. Excel has quite successfully kind of expanded into that B2C with Immersed London. And I've seen other venues also do it, hosting things that for people more of a B2C and more different types of people, not just the B2B kind of people.
It's an interesting slight change of tack. The lovely Tom Lambretts, when he was heading up the marketing at ECNO, when Earl's Court was still in existence, they looked to develop relationships with the community. Because one thing Earl's Court specialized in exhibitions. It did have other things in there that there were other shows that came to it, but that's predominantly what it was filled with. They had if you look at the ecosystem around Excel, you had hotels and restaurants, or there was a community around the venue. When they were moving across to Olympia, Tom ran a campaign to engage with the ecosystem around Olympia, to try and model it on what Earl's Court had. So not reinventing the wheel within the venue, but supporting the local businesses. So there was like a neighborhood around Olympia that supported Olympia in what it did. Now, if Olympia is then wanting to own that space, so it has its own restaurants, it has its own things for people to come and do, you kind of that's counter to that, because people will come. Now, I suppose the counter argument, as I'm thinking on my feet here, not to get shot by somebody from Olympia next time I see them, is to have I suppose the argument would be we're bringing more people. So rising tide lifts all ships. If we're bringing tens of thousands of people to Olympia, then the overspill, some people will want to go out and eat at the local Italian restaurant, or they want to stop in a local hotel rather than one of ours. So attracting more people in benefits everybody. So I guess there's that argument to be put. But it's interesting because it's that corralling people in a particular space. NEC did it with the Genting. So when they put the Genting Centre up there, that was a leisure complex, a hotel, restaurants, theatre, it had everything on site with the venue. So you become and it's the buzzword that everybody's using, it. You become a destination venue. People go to you as a destination, so they come to you to do. It's an interesting one, and it's obviously economically driven because they want to capture the footfall and capture every pound is spent with them rather than spent elsewhere.
Well, it's like having its own little mini ecosystem where the venue's attracting the people, and then restaurants start to appear, and then hotels appear, and then coffee shops and nice seating. If you look at Excel, it's all on the DLR and Elizabeth line. On the XL side, you can see there's been massive investment with the hotels and the restaurants and the Sunborn Hotel. It just looks amazing. But if you look on the other side, you don't see the same sort of investment.
But you can see it in small venues as well. I went to the National Gallery a few months back, and they've invested in it's a gallery, it's an art gallery, and inside you have coffee shops, you have restaurants, you have all these things, which to me, I never thought gallery, restaurant, like those two things never really kind of went together, but they've expanded further and further. They want people to stay there as long as possible. They don't want you to leave and go to a restaurant. Oh, there's a restaurant here, there's coffee here, there's a gift shop here, there's a bathroom here, wherever it may be located.
Yeah, they never need to know where the toilets are. Yeah, it's very important. But yeah, I've been there as well, thanks to National Gallery. It's a nice big open space, and they've really sort of made it appealing to event planners with Cersei's and everything else. But it's is that a venue now, or is that just
right? Because venues are they're not venues anymore. They're trying to be more than a venue. They want to be everything to everyone. So now I think that there's kind of like a rethinking, reevaluating of what a venue actually is.
You know what it is? It's one of those Venn diagrams, where they have the overlapping circles.
Yeah.
So you've got venue on one circle, and then you've got places like the National Gallery and whatever, and where they overlap, and that coloured in fuzzy grey bit is destination venue, as Paul said. So whether that's going to be something we'll see increasing over the next few years, where there's going to be more and more appearing in this fuzzy grey overlap, or whether it's just an experiment that Excel and Olympia are doing, and it may just go, yeah, it never worked. We won't bother. And it just becomes another trend that was tried out. But it says interesting times ahead.
It's always interesting watching the evolution of venues and how they evolve and how they change. If everybody is running off down we're going to have a self-contained ecosystem, as Christina was saying, they want to do everything and deliver everything. Does that allow the strategy to exist that we are a specific venue that does certain things, and we bring people in and we support our local independent ecosystem? There is lots of other small businesses that orbit around our venue. So BDC would be a good example of that. Where the BDC sits, people go into Islington and stay in the hotels, and if you walk down the road outside the BDC, there's every manner of food you could possibly imagine. There's coffee bars, there's small hotels in the area, and the BDC is the part of the attraction that supports the ecosystem. But does it make it a more attractive place to take your event, because you can walk out of the event and have your you can have that outside?
That's actually an interesting thought, whether an event planner or the event planner and the client see the local area as an important part of the considerations and final decision, or is it just, oh, that's handy to have, and it's a very small part of the
It,
final decision?
if you're looking at the peripatetic congresses that travel around the world, they visit cities that have got more than just the event venue. So this is something Andy Gibb, who's now at the NEC, was looking at doing quite well with when he was doing some work with GES and Excel at the time. Andy was quite forward thinking in that when you're bringing people in, you're bringing people into a city, and that has to have more interest than just the city itself. So why would you go to Strasbourg? You go to Strasbourg because, yes, there's a nice conference center, but it's a beautiful city. So after the conference, you can spill out into this beautiful city and enjoy the experience. It makes the conference a little bit more exciting. If you're just flying in and I'm seeing the inside of an event venue and I'm eating in the event venue and I'm sleeping in the event venue and I'm flying out again, and the next one's the same in a different country, it homogenizes the experience. It's in Vancouver earlier in the summer, and Vancouver Conference Centre is right slap bang on the waterfront, and you walk out the conference centre and you've got a beautiful harbour to walk around with restaurants and coffee bars, and you've got the city of Vancouver just behind it. So Vancouver becomes an interesting place to go to. Best of all, the taxi ranks in Vancouver is a whole row of seaplanes, not a whole row of black cabs. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, that's fantastic.
An interesting aside. But that principle of making it more than just the inside of an event centre, because whatever you do, and I'm sure that the event venues in Britain will do a fantastic job at creating this, but it's still in that event space and it's still created around that event space. You don't go out to a cafe, a little restaurant that's been there since the building's been there since 1644, and bang your head on the beams as you're walking around and the floor's uneven and stuff. That adds to some of that little bit of brisance that you get when you're engaging with a city and a new environment.
I totally agree with you, but then on some points I don't, which sounds a bit weird. But the thing is, if you does the local area that the venue is surrounded by, is that important for a one-day event for a 100-person conference, or is it? Or and so if you're just going in the morning and you're doing the conference and then you leave, it's a one-day thing. You may not actually want to explore. You just want to go home. But if it's a much larger conference, thousands of people, and it's over 2 days, then yeah, you want to know about the hotels. And nobody wants to eat in the hotel. They want to eat in the local area, especially if it's a different country to the one they live in. Then it brings more, and the local area is much more important. So I think for the event planner and the client, it really comes down to how big, how many people, how many days.
Yeah. And again, it's never going to be a one size fits all, is it? That's the whole point. You're not going to be able to say this model works for every conceivable type of congress. But if you homogenize the venue landscape into everything's a destination, then you've taken away that flexibility, that variety, that thing. And maybe this, if we do go down that everywhere's a destination, does the industry lose some of that variety, some of that thing that makes it interesting? Because everything looks the same, is the same, it's got the same concessions or franchises in. It's the same thing that killed the high street. You walk down the high street and if you think 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you saw exactly the same retail outlets, exactly the same food vendors, and they were all the big corporates. So the high street in, I don't know, Shrewsbury looked exactly the same as the high street in Lincoln, for example, because it was all, you had a Currys, you had a Woolworths, you had a Boots, you had a it's exactly the same. The bits that make it interesting disappeared.
But is there going to be a problem that when these destination venues get too big? Well, no, they get really big when they do everything. They've got food areas, they've got hotel space. They become everything you need in the one location. Is that going to put off the smaller conferences, trade shows? Are they going to go, oh, that's too big, we can't afford it? So their audience, their ideal client for the venue is going to be only the really, really large conferences.
There'll come a point at which economically it will be self-determining, won't it?
Yeah.
Because to support a big venue, your price level your entry point to come and do an event at that will be at one level, and therefore there will only be certain events that will be able to reach that level. And I know, venues are not daft; they will have seen this, and they'll look at ways of subdividing space and make things smaller. But you're still a small event that needs. Again, it's how does that event make itself look special? How does it grow? What makes it unique? Part of, again, we are going to Event Tech Live in November. It's now at Excel. It used to be at the old Truman Brewery, and the old Truman Brewery had a myriad of faults, which is none of the floors were even, and it was up and down ramps and various bits and bobs, and there's only one lift to get all the exhibitors had to go up and down this one tiny lift. So there's a lot of grumbling and moaning about that, but it had a certain frissons to it because it was a tech show. It was basic, and everybody knew the venue, and it kind of fitted the personality of the event at the time. And it was part of the personality of the event. When it moved to Excel, it then just became another show in Excel, and it didn't have that, say, the venue didn't contribute to the feeling of the show. I don't know if I'm communicating this particularly well, which is great for a communication professional, isn't it? But it just
keep going.
It just kind of went with it. It felt right. It was a tech show in a basic industrial feeling building. It was down towards Brick Lane, so you could come out and you could disappear off into all the various brilliant places around it. It had a buzz. It had a feel around that show. And, that you jumped out of your Uber or Underground or whatever you came, and you arrived and you were in that environment, and the whole place seemed to vibrate with the buzz of the Event Tech Live being there.
I went to the show at the brewery before it moved to Excel. And it did feel that it was slightly bursting at the seams. Yeah, if there was space to put an exhibitor, then we'll just cram it in somewhere. I guess it was becoming popular and in demand, so that's fine. But you could actually nip outside to get a breath of fresh air and see, oh, there's a sandwich over there, or there's a great coffee, or supermarkets you can get something to eat, and then just walk back in. Are we going to get to a point like Excel where you've got a captive market because nobody can leave the building unless you want to spend like an hour there and there back to go get something to eat? Because don't forget, I find at Excel, the closer you get to the middle, the more expensive the coffee gets until you hit Costa. So, be interesting to see things, how things move along. What happens? Do we have really big destination venues, or will there be a bit of a backlash to that and we'll see an uptake on smaller venues?
We'll have to wait and see.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. It's certainly, I mean, it's interesting. It's always interesting to discuss these kind of things because of all of the industries that exist out there. Events is it is dynamic, and it does evolve probably a little bit quicker than quite a few of the other industries. I don't know whether that's the nature of events being based on a more entrepreneurial model, but they seem to be more fleet of foot, able to change, able to adapt a bit more to changing landscapes. I think it'd be an interesting one.
Yeah. I think we'll call it a halt. I think we'll finish there.
Yeah.
I think we've been down enough rabbit holes and chased it around the corner and back again. So that's good. Well, this has been a really good episode. I think we've had some really insightful thoughts from Christina.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's good to have a young person's voice on the show with all this old guys. So, yeah. Cool. And thank you, Paul. Yeah, some great thoughts about venues and sharing your words of wisdom based on your long, well-earned experience.
Thank you. It makes me feel so much better.
I'm glad you do. That's brilliant. Well, as I say, we're gonna call the halt there. If anybody listening well, dear listener, if you would like to submit a news item, then please get in touch and let us know what you feel is important. And also any comments where you're able to leave a comment about, did we miss something? Have we got something wrong? Or did we get something particularly right? Which I think Christina's demonstrated. I know I'm going on about you again, Christina, but you made a very good point about what immersive events truly are. You don't need headsets.
No, you don't.
Not that anybody can afford them. I mean, it's
the
still so
simple
expensive.
things. It's really the basic, simple things. People want really coffee. They want coffee. Start with that.
Yeah, just give them a coffee.
Coffee and somewhere coffee, easy to reach facilities, and somewhere comfy to sit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we want a comfy chair, nice soft pillows, coffee, and a toilet that's in easy reach.
Yeah, definitely. It's the little things. I think it's the little things in life, and it's the little things in events. Like that's really what makes a big difference.
Yeah, some important stuff. Right, as I say, I keep saying it, so let's really bring an end to it. So thank you both for taking part. It's been a fun conversation, and lots of great points and been discussed. And as again, I encourage any listener to share your feedback on what we got right, what we got wrong, what do we miss, and is there a new story you think we should be mentioning? So thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time.
And cut.
This Week in Events is a production for the EPN Journal podcast. Huge thanks to our patrons, partners and industry friends for helping to make this possible. Details of how you can be a patron are in the show notes and on the EPN Journal website. Thanks for listening.